Hello, everyone, and welcome to Three Knocks at the Door at Natoma 64, a podcast dedicated to Masonic education, Masonic events, and Masonic bodies in the greater Sacramento area. Your hosts are Worshipful Brother Noel Lucas and Brother Jeff Joe. If you'd like to share ideas or have feedback for us, or would like to join our mailing list, please feel free to email us at 3katd64@gmail.com. Today we'll be joined by Tiffany Lozoya, who is a manager of outreach and education with the Masonic Homes of California, Masonic Outreach Services. We hope you'll enjoy the show. All right, well, welcome everyone to Three Knocks at the Door. I'm your host, Jeff Joe, and my co-host is Worshipful Brother Noel Lucas, past master. And with our trip to the Masonic Homes coming up here on Saturday, we thought it would be a great idea to have Tiffany from Masonic Outreach Services join us and kind of talk about some of the services that Masonic Outreach offers to us as Masons and some of the educational services as well. So Tiffany, if you could please introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah, of course. Thank you all so much for having me. So my name is Tiffany Lozoya, and I am the Manager of Outreach and Education through Masonic Outreach Services. I am based out of the Union City campus. And, when people think about the Masonic homes, they usually think about our two senior living communities, but our services go far beyond that. So working with Masonic Outreach Services is our way of providing information and supports to the communities and to Masons and their families. So I'm really excited to just talk a little bit about some of the services we have.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. So I guess one of the big questions is who is eligible for the Masonic services?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we have a lot of different services that some will have very specific eligibility criteria, and some is a little more broad. So a lot of our programs are open to the community as well. So depending on the service and the supports, it'll kind of vary. So the best thing that I always tell people is that if you are interested in any types of services or supports, to call the Masonic Assistance Line, which is one of the services I'll talk about. They'll gather a little bit of information and then they can kind of help support you in figuring out what services and supports you're eligible for.
Awesome. And what kind of services do you guys offer?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, one of the biggest services and supports that I think is so important for everyone to know about is our Masonic Assistance Line. So this is our information and referral line that offers a variety of supports and services, all kinds of referrals that they can make depending on what your needs are. So this line is open to those with Masonic affiliation as well as the community. So this is a line that helps support Masons and their families, but also supports the community. So some of the things that they can offer include telephone consultations, care management. They also offer referrals to community resources depending on what your needs are, and they can help individuals who are interested in applying to the Masonic home communities as well. So a really amazing resource that I recommend everyone has this phone number saved in their phone. Share it with your spouses, with your kids. So that's our 888-466-3642 number. Very, very important to have that saved in case you ever have questions about services as well. They can always guide you in the right direction.
Now, you mentioned that, you reach out to the community. What entails the community? I mean, being you're in Union City, we're here in Sacramento, Folsom area. Does that reach out all the way to us and beyond, or how's that work?
Yeah, so with the Masonic Assistance Line, it's actually open to anyone throughout the United States. So people from other states sometimes call, people from other countries sometimes call. So it is a number that everyone can call and get referrals for services in their area. So typically, most people would call from California to get services in California, but we do have Masons sometimes who live out of state. Maybe they have family members here in California. So they can still call even when they're out of state and ask for those referrals. And when you do call, they will try to find services in your area.
Awesome.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, what kind of
amazing.
services are we talking about? Like financial, mental health?
Yeah, so the
Right?
Masonic Assistance Line is oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The Masonic Assistance Line is kind of like the starting point if you're kind of trying to figure out what types of services you're interested in. So, like I mentioned, they can help with applying to live in the Masonic homes. So, we have the senior living communities located in Union City and then Covina as well. That's open to individuals who are age 60 and up. So, depending on if you're looking for a senior living community, they can help you in applying and submitting your information for that. They also can help direct you to care management. So, care management is another really amazing program that Masonic Outreach Services offers. So, we have 8 amazing care managers that are located throughout the state of California, and they can offer support with a variety of things. So, they can offer support with, issues with employment, if you're dealing with housing challenges, if you're facing health challenges, really anything that you can think of, you can ask, and we can see if there's a support that they can offer. So, the care managers, one way that they help support is by creating care plans for individuals. So, they'll come out and do home visits, or they'll talk with you over the phone and figure out what types of supports you need, and then they'll help to create plans to support you in receiving those services. They can also help with navigating different health or financial issues that you may be experiencing or a loved one may be experiencing. And they also serve as really amazing advocates for services and benefits that you may be applying to as well. So, having that care manager on your side is a really great benefit as well that we offer. We also have a couple financial assistance programs that are available. So we have a Masonic Senior Outreach Services program, which provides need-based financial assistance to seniors. And then we also have our Distressed Worthy Brother Fund, which supports people who may be experiencing economic hardship. So this could be due to a personal crisis, like housing instability or underemployment, or many other things that people experience. So, this program can help with those things as well as providing referrals for services if you're experiencing any of these things. So, it is available to all California Masons as well as their spouses or surviving spouses and their dependent minor children. And another great thing about it is that it's also available to Masons who live in California who may belong to another jurisdiction. So that's something really important to keep in mind. So if you're a Mason living here in California, but say that you belong, your lodge is out of state, you belong there, you can still apply for the Distress Worthy Brother Fund if you're in need of that support.
That's
Oh,
a
that's awesome.
fantastic program.
Yeah,
Uh, I am
definitely.
curious. I mean, with that Distress Worthy Brother program and some of the other ones, how are these funded?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as you know, the Masons are constantly having different outreach efforts and fundraising efforts. So, a lot of that through the foundation is a way that some of these programs are funded. So, donations. There's also possibilities for people to raise money through their lodges and make donations. So the Distress Worthy Brother Fund did have some large donations that were made during the time when there were the fires in Southern California. So a lot of this is funded through the California Masonic Foundation.
Awesome.
A couple other programs that I'd love to just mention is we also have a really unique program, our shared housing program, which is located actually on the Covina campus. And this is a program for independent seniors who are age 62 and up. But it's open to California Masons as well as their spouses or surviving spouses, also their parents and parents in law, and members of other California Masonic organizations. so like Eastern Star members as well. So I think that this is a really cool program because it is an option to find economical housing in the LA area, which we know housing is always very expensive and difficult to find something that's affordable. So that shared housing program has suites and studios at a below market rate that people are eligible for. It's also pet friendly, so that's a nice perk if you do have pets. So definitely, if anyone is looking for affordable housing options and they're open to living in a co-housing type of program where you'll have your own individual space, but you'll kind of share the common areas, this is a really great program that people can look into as well.
That's fantastic. Tiffany, you're mentioning all these great programs. You mentioned how we help out in the community and all that. How do you reach out to the community?
Yeah, another great question. So, in my role as the manager of outreach and education, my whole job is to make sure that I'm coming out into the community, into the lodges, and educating individuals, our brothers and Masons, so that way they can provide this information to their brothers and their communities. So, that's where the Lodge Outreach Program comes in. So the Lodge Outreach Program was born out of a partnership with San Diego's Division 9 and Masonic Outreach Services. And the goal was to figure out how these two entities could work together to serve members and families, but also help educate people about the Masonic home programs. So the way the program works, the Lodge Outreach Program, is Masonic Outreach Services staff, such as myself and our community outreach educator, Naomi Chu, who's covers most of Southern California. We go out to the lodges and we train people from the lodge. And so they're called Lodge Outreach Training Coordinators. And so the goal is that we are offering this training, these services, this education, and that the training coordinators will then take that information, share it with their AGLs, their inspectors, other training coordinators, and the community. So the hope is using this train the trainer model that we will provide the information and then we'll be able to reach more people by having those trainers then go out and share that information with others. Yeah, that would be a great way to get that information, because each lodge has designated lodge outreach training coordinators. But anyone is welcome to become a lodge outreach training coordinator. It's not something that's only for a specific number of people per lodge or only for specific people. We also welcome spouses to become lodge outreach training coordinators, if they'd like to support the outreach efforts as well. So if you're interested in becoming a lodge outreach training coordinator, you're more than welcome to let me know, and I can make sure that you're added to our roster to be able to receive all of our emails and publications about upcoming meetings. Or even better, I would love for you to come to an outreach meeting. So every quarter, we host an outreach meeting in each division, and it covers a different training topic on outreach and how we can kind of support our communities. So when we have these trainings, everyone is welcome to come. And then, as a lodge outreach training coordinator, you're able to share that information.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's the one we just had, I think, at our lodge,
Yes,
right?
yes, I was just there the other day.
Yeah. Awesome. So I think one of the kind of back on the outreach and people reaching out. Do when brothers reach out to you guys, do you let lodges find out about who's reaching out to? Like, do the brothers have to worry about their lodges knowing that they reached out to you guys, or this is all confidential, right? Like, they don't have to worry about, like, oh, do I have to worry, like, say that they're in need of some help financially, like, do I have to worry about my lodge knowing that I reached out to you for some financial help?
Yeah, that's a good question. So through the Masonic Assistance Team, they do their best to make sure that everything is kept confidential. All of your information is secure as you share it with them. There may be some instances, depending on the type of support that you're requesting, where the lodge they may reach out to the lodge to see if the lodge has additional supports they could offer. Or, for example, if you're needing support with, maybe you weren't able to pay your dues and you're wanting to see if you can get those remitted so that way you can be considered in good standing. That would be something that they possibly may reach out to the lodge to try and offer support. But the important thing to know is that the Masonic assistance team is always going to keep your information confidential. And if they are going to reach out to the lodge, or that's something you want to know from the beginning, you can definitely ask them and they'll be able to let you know if that's something they may need to do under certain circumstances or not. So I just always encourage people to ask, if that's something that they're thinking about and, that's valid. But we do try to keep all information confidential as much as we can.
Well, and to add on to that, I mean, when it comes to the lodge, my past experience, the secretary would get information. He was very cautious about how any information was disseminated, even to the master. And it was
Hmm.
always kept very quiet, very confidential.
Hmm.
Only what was told was told. And,
Hmm.
it was, can we help? How can we help? And that was it. And it wasn't, not a lot of anything else. So anonymity is a key thing here. So.
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that we're keeping that trust, even if we talked a little bit in our last training about, if a brother comes to you and says they're in need of support and, having that conversation around, oh, are you open to contacting Masonic assistants and seeing if they're able to help? Letting them know first, if they're open to it. And if they're not, you can ask, hey, would you mind if I called them to see what services might be available? And if the answer is no to both of those things, then respecting the fact that maybe that person isn't quite ready to ask for that support, because the last thing we want to do is pick up the phone and call someone and say, hey, so and so called and said you needed this. And there's, on the other end, surprised because they didn't know that that information had come through. So we always try to make sure that there's permission before that information is being, communicated. And we just try to make sure that we establish and keep that trust.
Awesome.
Um, Now, do you work with any of the youth programs? I know you mentioned Eastern Star as far as one of the other bodies, but how about the youth programs? How are they? Do they tie in at all? Do they? I mean, they can call in too for assistance, right?
Correct. Yeah, they could call in for assistance as well. Um, we don't specifically work with the programs directly, but a lot of times the services and supports we provide do overlap with, like you said, that they're also eligible for support. Another one of our services that I hadn't mentioned yet is our Masonic Center for Youth and Families. So sometimes you'll hear the acronym MCYAF. So that's our emotional wellness program. So those services are available to all families, regardless of Masonic affiliation. And the other amazing thing about this program is it's offered on a sliding scale. So no one is ever turned away for inability to pay. But this program does serve children, youth, and families, as well as adults who are interested in receiving mental health support. So any youth that are interested, they could be eligible to receive services through MCYF. We also have a lot of our when we come out and do trainings and we talk about like how do we increase outreach or how can we be strategic of how we're communicating this information. Sometimes lodges will choose to involve the youth as well, so maybe having members write, or some of the youth orders write letters to individuals who are living at the Masonic homes or help support with the fundraisers or things like that to increase outreach. So sometimes that overlap happens naturally through the lodges as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I wasn't even familiar with the youth order portion of that. I mean, the youth portion. So, see,
Yeah.
listen, I keep learning everything. Every time I learn something new.
Yeah, the Center for Youth and Families, it's an amazing program. And the name says youth and families, but it is open to individuals of all ages. And so, a lot of our seniors, if maybe they're not able to get to a therapist, maybe they have mobility issues, or maybe they're in an area where, they don't drive and it's harder to get places, they do offer it via telehealth. So it's a really great resource that can be tapped into. And Masonic Center for Youth and Families also is able to come out to lodges and give presentations. They offer specific support groups if you're looking for something specific in your lodge. So just a lot of amazing things that they can offer as well that a lot of people are not aware of, but definitely a resource that is mental health services are needed by everyone. We all have times when we need someone to talk to or just need a little extra support. So it's a really great program that people can access.
Wow,
Now,
that's
with
awesome.
that, I mean, if a young one does reach out, how does that would that work? I mean, if they said they were struggling, do you get the parents involved? I mean, do you how that's could be kind of a touchy area, right? So,
Yeah, so it kind of, that kind of goes a little bit over towards the clinical and ethical side of how they provide services. So MCYAF would, want to make sure first of all that the child is safe at the time, because safety is always the number one priority with anything that we're doing. And then they would kind of choose to move through the situation depending on the individual. So there are situations when, clinical or mental health services are provided where parents are notified, just to make sure that they're aware that the young person is receiving support. So if they did call and they needed that support, MCYF would be able to kind of guide them and explain to them the process and whether or not parents would be involved.
now how about if a parent, has a teenage daughter that just needs a little bit of tips and tricks on how to deal with said teenage daughter?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
asking for a
something they
friend.
can provide too. Who doesn't need those kinds of tips, right? Parenting is hard. So, yeah, also something, if you were interested or someone was interested in calling and getting some support around that, that's something they could offer through through their mental health providers as well. They have their licensed clinicians who have a variety of experience with different topics and situations. So, definitely something that you could ask for some support, and I'm sure that they'd be able to kind of direct you in the best way possible. If they don't have the services, they also give referrals. So that's the other great thing is, if it's something that very unique that maybe they don't have the services for it, they can also give referrals to community resources as well. So they'll kind of guide you in the best direction.
Well, that was one of the things that I learned last time that I just thought was fantastic was the referral program on top of everything else. So
Hmm.
again, how important it is, and I'm challenging all Masons to put the 800 number in their phones that you
Yes.
can reach out for just about anything, and they'll
Yeah.
help out as best they can.
Yeah. I tell everyone to just, if everything is chaotic, you're not sure where to start with the Masonic assistance line. We have an amazing team that will talk you through, whatever. They'll try to gather as much information as they can and kind of talk you through the process of whatever it is, you may be needing, or you might not even know what you need yet, and they'll be able to offer that support. So I can't say enough about how amazing they are at being able to kind of figure out the best way to support people.
Mhm. Well, and then you mentioned we've talked about the phone number, but we also have the website, right?
Yes.
And I mean, it's open to the public. Everybody can go on. You don't have to be a Mason, correct?
Yeah, we have the MasonicHomes.org website. We have a ton of resources there. We actually have a lot of lodge outreach resources there also. So if you are interested in learning more about lodge outreach, we do have our lodge outreach training coordinator binder that's online. This is an amazing binder that was created with tons of resources. So the trainings that we do are put in that binder. There's scripts on how to do outreach. So it maybe you're calling, you're part of a widows committee and you're calling to invite people to an upcoming event. We have scripts. We have ideas for different events, all kinds of things that you can find in this binder. So we try to make sure that people know that it's there. If there's resources that people are looking for that are not there, we're always happy to get that feedback and we can always help create resources. We had a lodge that expressed to us that they felt members needed some support with finding jobs, that people were just having a really difficult time understanding how to navigate, just looking for jobs, or, maybe they haven't looked for a new job in a while and things have changed since the last time they have. And we were able to create a brochure for them to be able to share with their members to learn how to, write a resume, how to apply to jobs on job boards, how to, look for specific types of work. So we're always open to providing whatever resources we can, and we're open to creating those for people as well if it's useful.
man, there's so many different ways you guys go with these benefits. It's like, I mean, it's more than what I would have thought that you guys would have offered. It's
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And, I'm still fairly new to Masonic Homes. I've been there, it'll be a year in a few days. But just in the year that I've been there, being able to go out to the lodges and just talk about some of these services, I've had a lot of Masons tell me, I've been a Mason for 20 years and I never knew anything about half of these things. So, that just shows you the importance of communicating all of these services and spreading the word as much as we can, because people need help. And if there's all of these services available, it's just beautiful if people can take advantage of that.
Yeah, and the best part is it's all offered part of it's part of our memberships,
Hmm.
and it's like, hey, you might as well, if it's there for you, take advantage of it, and
Exactly.
it's also, stuff that even family members can use,
Yeah, definitely something to share with your families. I also, another thing I heard a lot when I come out to the lodges is, maybe the family members don't realize, that all these services are available. So it is important to kind of pass that information along. And, you know, if anything ever happens, if there's ever a crisis, or, more support is needed, making sure your family knows to call Masonic assistance too, and make sure your kids know, make sure your spouse knows, extended family, because you never know when something might happen. And if they don't know that, you're affiliated with the Masons, or they don't know that these services exist, they might not know that all of these things are out there. So, yeah, it just goes back to the importance of us spreading the word and making sure people know that the help is there if you need it.
Well, and I've seen you guys at multiple events that are taking place. The wardens retreats, the annual communications. I mean,
Hmm.
and of course, I got a couple of magnets that are on the fridge that I've told the family
Good.
here, right here. Anything goes, south. This is who we call.
Yeah.
We start here, and that's been a big push for my family to understand that, and been trying to get the word out, of course, to the brothers as well.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I've actually used uh the outreach services recently.
Mm.
Like, I explained to you in my email, and
Mhm.
I actually wrote about it in my Trussell Board article recently. Actually, this last month, about my experience. My mom
Mhm.
had a stroke
Mm.
within the last month, and uh, just talking with Mary and Minnie. Uh,
Mhm.
Man, they were so helpful, and Minnie just, I mean, she sent me. I have my folder right here with all the stuff she sent me. So she sent a folder to me and to my mom, because my
Mhm.
mom lives in the Bay Area, and we're gonna
Mhm.
go over everything over the phone, and our folders are the same, so that way we can go over everything together. And it was so helpful, and it's just, I can't sing her praises and Mary's praises enough. It was amazing, and that's why I just, like, it was the timing to have you come on here, and then
Mhm.
to write about it in my article. It was just perfect timing. It was just like it was meant to be. But
Yeah. Yeah,
so
thank you so much for sharing that, because I think it's one thing to hear it from like me saying like we have all these services and look what we can offer, but it's a whole nother experience to hear it from someone who's used the services, or going to use the services, and to hear it from your own brothers, that also is very meaningful. So I appreciate you sharing that. And we always try to share success stories when we can. We try to share people's experiences living at the home so other people know what it's like. We give tours. So if anyone's ever interested in coming to visit the homes, we offer tours as well. We can do individual tours. We offer group tours. Sometimes, actually, I think they were saying, Jeff, that your lodge is setting up a tour in the area to come down to the homes. So that's great too.
yeah, we'll
This
be
comes
there
Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And we actually had one of our brothers and his wife moved in there recently,
Mm.
and there was, I mean, we asked, like, "Oh, how's everything going there?" And they're just like, they love it, and
Mhm.
just They're like, "Oh, we don't know why you didn't move in here sooner." It's just
Yeah.
and to hear stuff like that, it's like, when I was talking to my mom about it, it's something, it's nice to be able to say something like that and to say, "Hey, look, you know what? I know somebody who's living there and is
Mhm.
and can't sing the praises enough. And it's reassuring to be able to pass that on to my mom and let her
Mhm.
know, because then that way she knows, it's reassuring on her side too. So it's just it's great. And it's like I went there on a tour several years ago with my
Mhm.
old lodge when I lived in the Bay Area.
Mhm.
And honestly, when I was walking around there, I was like, man, if I could qualify to live there right now, I would go live there. It's
I
a
say the
beautiful
same thing.
it's a beautiful place.
It is. Yeah, and tons of activities, and they, really thoughtful about all of the things that they plan and how people can access things, and just like the community that they built here is just really beautiful. Like, you just see people spending time together all the time, and you see all of the trips that they're going to take to go to the theater. One time when I first started working there, they were going to the balloon museum, and I was like, I want to go to the balloon museum. Like, they
That's
do more
cool.
activities than I do. So, just making sure that people are happy, and that really is what helps make life worth it, being able to be somewhere where you're happy, where you're safe, where you're well taken care of, and feeling like you're in community, so helping to decrease that isolation and make sure people are connected makes a big difference too. Amazing teams here that really just care about people. I've heard a lot of stories, and I've been in social work long enough that heard a lot about different places that weren't ideal, or you think about it and you're like, I wouldn't want my family living there. But this is 100% different than that. You see people who truly are building these relationships with the people that live there, and it feels like a family. They know everybody by name, and you see everyone walking down the halls. And since my office is there, I'm lucky. I get to kind of see those things every day, and it's just the love and care that's put into it is like, this is what I would want for my family. When you really see it, so it's makes me happy to be able to work somewhere where I can be confident in saying that, and knowing that the things that we're sharing is exactly how it is. I see it every day, so it's really beautiful.
It is, and the amount of help that is given to
Mhm.
individuals is also an amazing thing. The follow up, the follow through. I've
Mhm.
seen that with a couple of people moving into the homes,
Mhm.
and it's just, yeah. I mean, I can't sing enough praises for the place. And to both of your points, that campus is amazing.
Mhm.
It is so beautiful. And so, yeah, if you haven't got on, uh, Jeff, is there still time for people to join the
I think
tour, or
there
are
is.
we kind of
I think
okay?
there is still time.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I mean, if you get an opportunity to take this tour, but I know there's other ways to do it, and you can do it. Reach out, obviously, but you got to come check it out.
Yeah, once you see it, it's like feels so different. It's one thing to talk about it or look at pictures, but once you're there, it feels very different. And also our Covina campus is really beautiful. I have had the opportunity to go down there quite a bit in the last year. And, it's a little bit of a different feel than, it's a smaller campus than Union City, but still very beautiful, on its own. And so I always tell people, if you're considering you're open to both locations, go visit both, because you never know what's going to be the right fit for you. Some people might prefer something a little bit smaller. Some people might like the Union City campus, but they both have amazing services and supports. So, you can't really lose with either one. But it's just nice to see them, and, being there and experiencing it. It really does make an impact.
So you said you've been here just coming up on a year. What
Yes.
so far? I mean, what's your just like that melt your heart story? Yeah.
Oh, well, I had a story. I don't, it's like melt my heart, but also like it was just so amazing to me that this happened, because I was just, like I mentioned, we have some really amazing care managers. And, being in social work for so long, you kind of learn how people move through the world as social workers. And some people are willing to do, a little bit more. And some people it's like, okay, I'm just going to stick to A, B, and C. So when I see people who go above and beyond, I'm like, okay, this is amazing. But when I heard this story, I just was like, wow, this care manager went beyond. So happy to share that story with you all if you're interested in hearing it. Um, so this story literally saved a Mason's life. So this care manager saved this Mason's life. So one of our care managers was on the road to see a client in Rancho Mirage, and on her way there, she called another client who was a Mason, just to see how he was doing. And during the conversation, the care manager felt like something was a little off with how, the Mason was communicating with her. So she encouraged him to see his doctor in the next couple days. And she even volunteered to set up the appointment for him, just because she had that concern, just from hearing, just from talking to him. Um, Client was, he thought it was no big deal, kind of dismissed it, said he just wanted to take a nap and just wanted, get off the phone. So yeah, so he got off the phone and, the care manager just felt a little uneasy because this didn't seem like his normal behavior. Things just didn't sit right. So she told her client that she was going to contact someone from the home care agency to request that he be taken to the doctor immediately because she just had this feeling that things were off. So she coordinated with the agency and advocated for them to go out there immediately to check on him. So she called her client back to let him know that the agency was going to be there in a few hours to pick him up and take him to the doctor. So she called twice and he did not answer. She could not get back in touch with him. So on the third try, he finally picked up, but then he hung up the phone right away. So that's when she was like, okay, something's wrong. I called twice. He didn't answer. He picked up the phone, just hung it up right away. Something's going on. So she went ahead and made a judgment call and drove herself to the Mason's home. And when she got there, she knocked on the door. No one answered, peeked in the window, and saw that he was laying there unconscious.
Wow.
So luckily, the door was unlocked. So she went ahead and let herself in. She called 911. And when the paramedics arrived, they said that his sugar was at 33 and that he
Whoa.
was in a diabetic coma. So they transported him to the hospital immediately. The care manager followed the ambulance, making sure he got there safely, even took it upon herself to think about grabbing, a pair of shoes for the client. So that way, when he, was able to get out of the hospital, he had a pair of shoes because, a lot of times in crisis, we forget about those things, but she was that thoughtful that she was able to do that.
Yeah.
At the hospital, they were able to stabilize his sugar. He was transferred to the ICU. And the next day, the Mason came out of his coma and eventually he was discharged and went back home. But it's
Wow.
just, stories like that, that it's like, wow, you really,
Wow.
like, you had that feeling and you followed it and you went to all of these measures to make sure that this person was okay. And it literally saved his life. So when I heard that story, I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I don't know a lot of stories like that where a social worker would have been able to figure that much out, or a care manager being able to figure that much out just from a phone call, feeling that little bit off. So, yeah, that's definitely a story that sticks with me because who wouldn't want to know that someone is taking care of your loved one in that way, that someone cares enough that they're going to follow up. They're not going to stop calling after the first time, the second time, that third call, and then driving there to check on him and make sure he was okay really made all the difference. So that's one of the stories that I think is just amazing. And I can't sing their praises enough. Like, our care managers really go above and beyond. They're really invested in taking care of their clients and making sure that, that they are getting everything that they need. So I think that that takes a special person to be able to do this kind of work, and they really take it upon themselves to make sure that they do amazing jobs. So definitely have to shout them out every chance that I get.
100%. Yeah. That's amazing. Man, that care manager deserves like a life-saving award or something. Jeez, that's
I
amazing.
know, right? Yeah, I just feel like hearing those stories, it's like you can't give recognition enough. Like, how do you recognize someone for, being able to save your life? But I did find out that she she was in touch with the lodge afterwards, and so they said, "You have a standing invitation. You join our stated dinner as our guest of honor anytime." So, and to our care managers, that's recognition enough, because they do this work from their heart. They do it because they really care. So, but definitely above and beyond. That's the definition of it right there if I had to think of one.
That just above and beyond is wow. Yeah, that's just to
Yeah.
say the least. Yeah, so that's. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
hear that story from other type of care units. This is that's obviously shows it's not just a job, that they truly
Mhm.
do love what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And we have a great team, through Masonic Outreach Services. And even though we might cover different parts of outreach, I go out to the lodges and do education. We have, our Masonic assistance line that takes the calls and kind of does care management over the phone and kind of helps with other things. And then we have our care managers that are out, boots on the ground, doing the work. But even up to our managers, director, we are all helping and supporting each other however we can. So, I tell people as long as you reach out to us, someone on the team, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure out where we need to get you to go or, who's going to be able to support you. So, whether someone reaches out to me or someone calls the Masonic assistance line or someone tells a care manager, we're all one team and we're all going to make sure that we get the best care possible and the best support possible for whoever reaches out to us.
Well, this has been very helpful, and like I said, every time I listen, I hear something new. And I go to the website, check it out. I try to keep
Mhm.
apprised of it, but it there's so much information.
Yeah.
Got to kind of just keep checking in, and I say that in a good way. It's a lot of good information out there, things to share. Um, I love the community outreach and the support, and I think getting the word out, as you can tell, that's on us.
Yeah.
So, a little call to arms for the brothers is make sure we're getting that word out there, right?
Yeah. And hey, if we can get brothers to share this podcast too, share the link.
Yeah.
Here we
Thank you
go.
all for having this. And if you ever, if brothers ever want to have a presentation to talk about our services, we're more than happy to schedule presentations to talk about our services as well. We'll come out to events if you're having an event at your lodge and you want us to table. If you're having like a spouses or sweetheart event and you want us to come out and talk to, the spouses about the services, whatever we can do to help spread that information, we're more than happy to set that up too.
Well, this
That'd be
has
great.
been very helpful, very educational, Tiffany, and just want to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. And again, brothers, want to give sure that everybody has that number in their phones, right? So that's 1-888-466-3642. Okay. So share that, text it to your family, your friends, whoever you think might need a help and a hand. But again, Tiffany, I can't say thank you enough for taking the time to join us. It's really appreciate it.
Of course, it's my pleasure and always happy to help however I can. Hopefully, see some more people coming out to our lodge outreach trainings. If people want specific trainings, let us know. We'll create them for you. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me and supporting.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Alrighty. I guess we'll call it here. Uh, Worshipful, did you have anything else that you wanted to add or?
No, just a reminder, brothers, that if you got time to sign up, if you can make it out on Saturday, uh, Jeff, should they reach out to Rob, you, Worshipful Pedro? Who should they
Uh,
be talking?
Probably Worshipful Pedro.
Worshipful Pedro. Okay, yeah, guys, get a hold of them. Join on if you can. They got buses going out there. They got a whole little trip planned, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And again, more educational and just a chance to see an amazing campus. You want to take that chance. So,
All right. Alrighty, everyone. Well, Tiffany, thanks again for joining us. It was fun. and educational, and hopefully we'll get brothers checking us out and sharing this with other brothers as well, because it's not only just for Natoma Lodge, it's for everyone. So definitely useful for everyone. So thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode.